What's going on, guys? JR Sports Media here, back at it again for another episode of the SmackTalk podcast. As always, I'm here with Jonathan Weathers, Kevin Mesnick, and a very special guest today, multi-sport action athlete, my man Chuck Patterson. What's going on, boss? I'm a huge fan of your Instagram. You seem like you're living the life while I'm quarantined in New York in the dead zone. Chuck, what is going on, baby?
Man, it's so honored to be a part of the crew and meet you guys and do this. Man, I feel for you guys. Obviously, California, it's a little bit different, and
Very.
very different. You guys we're all dealing with some tough times, but I think you guys are getting the brunt of it, and I feel you. So I've been trying to be outside as much as possible, so I keep the sanity going, and maybe I can inspire others, that can't do the same.
So, Chuck, I try to get my life exactly like yours. I try to fake my life, try to go on vacation once in a while, try to get some of those pictures uploaded. I'm a videographer myself, but some of the stuff you have on your page, man, is insane. How did you get into this kind of lifestyle, of skiing, all this kind of stuff, skiing,
surfing.
Trying to think of the word.
Just even think of it.
You blew his mind, Chuck. You see that? You blew his mind.
Seriously.
It's
not as active.
Well, I tell you what, it started a long time ago. I'm lucky. My mom was a professional athlete, when she was growing up. So my dad was a nuclear physicist, super smart, real strict. And, me being into sports and all that, I kind of followed behind my mom, in her footsteps. And we lived in the Bay Area, in Oakland. And, nice neighborhood, but I had to kind of get out, exactly, Raiders. But I had to go out and make stuff happen. It's not like I lived at the beach. I lived up in the hills, and so we skied when I was like 2 years old, and that was kind of the main thing for family. And so we always did sports, but I really liked the ocean part of it as well. And so. Funny story, I got so into it, but we lived 2 hours away from the water, and so I got hooked on surfing when we went on one trip to Hawaii. I can't drive to the beach every day, and so I figured out if I left 4 a.m, I'd take 3 buses, I'd get on the basically a subway that went underneath the ocean to get to San Francisco, and I'd get on.
How old were you?
I was, I think, 13 years old, and and so it'd take like a solid 2 hours just to go one way, and finally I'd end up at the beach and I'd surf, and from there I kind of did it more and more. I met some friends there that were kind of cool and allowed my parents to feel secure letting me do it every day, and I did that, and then I kind of just had to chase it, and I think with especially with you guys as well. I mean, if you want something bad enough, or if you're really into it, you kind of got to make it happen. So that was kind of the beginning. And then from there, I just got addicted to just, trying to do that kind of thing in any sports or whatever. And I was bored if I stayed at home. So that was kind of the beginning of it all.
Chuck, how do you get the balance to
Right
sleep?
on.
I just don't understand it, my man. My back hurts when I go to sleep. I have no balance in life. How are you able to stay on that board and surf through those waves with that GoPro on your head and making everything look cool? How are you able to do that?
Well, like anything, it takes a lot of time. I mean, I had a lot of, I don't know, how would you say, beat downs and moments of clarity where I had to kind of face my fears and really kind of push the limits, and it kind of tests you, and you kind of really learn a lot about yourself on how bad do you want it. And I met a lot of guys that were actually really good athletes that kind of took me under their wing, and I wanted to do what they wanted, what they were doing. And I kind of just did whatever it took to kind of make it happen. And it was a long road, but, once I got dialed in, like, I think I started skiing, and, I was good with no fear of heights and going fast, and the elements of, weather. And so when it came to surfing, it was kind of the same, just liquid form. And they kind of complemented each other. So, it's about balance and whatever. But I mean, don't let you be fooled. It took many years of eating it and eating humble pie to make it happen. And I'm still learning today. And, it's, I'm old as as an Eskimo in Alaska right now, and I'm still doing it.
I was gonna ask how, because I mean, a lot of people as they're younger, their parents always say play, do as many sports as you can, try to find your niche. They preach that find your niche, but you kind of had multiple niches and you kept that going into adulthood. So how did you find the time to kind of practice all these crafts at the same time? Did you go season by season, or how'd that work?
Well, that's a great question. For me, I was more into sports than I was school, but I figured out that if I didn't do good in school, my parents weren't going to allow me the opportunity to explore more of these sports. So it kind of worked in my favor in a way, to where I had to kind of buckle down and, and bust it in school to be able to go, okay, and have my parents go, all right, you know what, since you did so well, we're going to get you a surfboard. We're going to kind of help things happen. But I still had to work my butt off, and, chores, garden, whatever it took, paper route, and then finally made it happen. And then I think starting, skiing when I was younger, doing snow sports, which was really big in our family. And then the beach in the summertime was really big, but I wasn't really into just sitting on the beach. I wanted to, I was a mover and a shaker. I wanted to kind of, do the fun stuff. And I saw the surfers, they had that lifestyle where they're getting waves, and the girls, the tan, and I really liked being out there, and then I figured out that the only way, or one of the easiest ways to make this happen, was to figure out the business side, and that was getting sponsors. So I really worked hard at trying to emulate my peers, or the guys that I thought were the best in these sports, and do what they did, and then tried to stand out from being the average person. And you do weird things. Maybe that's where the GoPro thing came out, where I started doing stunts to kind of set myself apart from the rest. But really understanding the business side of getting sponsors, trying to get photos in the magazines, and videos, and just push myself, kind of allowed me to have pretty much a 365 day job of being outside. And I've been doing it since let's say 15 years old. I think I started getting paid when I was 18, where money started coming in, but it wasn't all handed to me. I mean, I had to get a bartending job. I worked late nights, and get home around 4 a.m, and then the next morning I was up at like 7 o'clock to go surf, because it was really good. And half the time I'd be trying to keep myself up while I was at work, and so, I mean, there's a lot of funny things that, you do whatever it takes to kind of get you going. But I think that was the recipe to make it happen, just learning the business side, and then we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
And working another job definitely makes you humble on that end too. I definitely can relate to that. But so I got a question for you. I mean, I played ice hockey. A lot of people say that's a tough sport. I've gone skiing once, and that scared the hell out of me, going downhill. So have you ever wanted to play a normal sport, or why does extreme action sports draw you? Because I'm not built for that, but that seems to be your thing, right up your alley. Did you ever play any normal sports growing up or anything, or has this always been your calling? It's been kind of the rush.
Well, you know what? That's I did. I got into soccer. This is the funny part. When I was growing up, I wasn't with the in crowd, and I wasn't popular. I wasn't like the top football star, baseball, whatever. I was good, but it wasn't in my DNA to like pursue it. I didn't really have this, like, I got to do that. But there was a part of me that said, I need to do something. And so I tried my, hand at track. I did good, but it was a little boring for me. Baseball was cool, but it was kind of the same. I just never found that attractive addiction where I needed to make it happen. And I did football. When I was growing up, I was kind of skinny, and I was really fast, but I didn't have that, that muscular build that I could take hits. And I remember I was, trying out for wide receiver. I was really fast, but I got hit once by this big guy. and sent me cartwheeling, and I still had the ball in my hand, and then I was, almost knocked out, on my back, just kind of looking up and going, is this really what I want to do? So I got humbled there, and I said, I got to find something, because I do love sports. I love that competitive drive. I love when you're playing against the best and they bring you up to their level, and you strive to do your best, so I like that where other people really kind of help you get to a higher point, and they drive you. And so with extreme sports, so to speak, like surfing or skiing or skateboarding, I kind of really liked just being a little bit different than the rest of the high school kids that I was with. And the one sport that I did get into, which isn't a macho sport, but I got into soccer, and I ended up being really good at it. And I played that for a couple years, and we won a championship, and so I was kind of stoked. It was good, but it was nothing to brag about. And then I got
the number one sport in the world. Come on.
Well,
I was gonna say it might not be macho, but it definitely pays well. Look at Ronaldo.
No, you're right. You're right. So, but so for me, it was, doing that. And then I got into volleyball and whatever. But for me, it was really doing the stuff outside of school that kind of made me feel different and a little bit, I don't know, a little bit cooler, because I was going at the beat of my own drum. I was kind of like, you know what, this is the path I wanted. And it wasn't like, hey, dude, you're going to school, you should, try out for football. You should try this so you can get a scholarship. I wasn't thinking that way at all. I was just thinking about what's the best way where I can be creative and be myself, but still have that competitive drive.
So how did you, for a lot of people that don't know, like myself, I don't really know how people become a professional extreme athlete. So like, how did you become a professional surfer? Like, what was that? Was there a process to that? Was there any steps? How did you go about that?
Well, it started out first in skiing. So for me, I kind of had to figure out how am I going to make money? How am I going to be able to do this without having a job? Or am I going to have to basically balance, having a real job, and then how do I have the time to be on the hill and ski and shoot and film, right? So you kind of get creative. So I had a bartending job at night, and then I would basically work with the mountain and try to get a pass for free. And you'd have certain days where you could shoot, be on the mountain all day. And then obviously when that day ended, I was working, 8-10 hours, and then doing the whole thing again. And once I figured out sponsors, getting shots in the magazines, so then I worked with a photographer, and I started getting shots, not necessarily in the magazines, but getting them out there. And then I'd go to trade shows and, kind of walk the walk. And I mean, back in the day, it was so different than how it is now. I mean, it's about Instagram followers, social media. And it's huge and it's great. I think it's almost better. But back in the day, we had to peddle that stuff. We had to go fly to where the trade shows were. We had to have a book with all our photos. We had to have video. It was kind of, you really had to sell yourself. And I wasn't that type of person to go, hey, check me out, I'm badass, this is my thing. And I kind of let my actions speak louder than words, if at all possible. But a lot of times I missed out on some big money contracts because I didn't speak loud enough, So I was kind of a late bloomer.
Gotcha.
Well, Chuck, extreme sports involves, extreme risk. Not only extreme risk, it's just the things that you're doing is not normal. So what is the most dangerous moment that you found yourself in? Maybe I wouldn't say life-threatening, but what is the moment that you found yourself in, maybe 13 years old to now, where you were like, holy shit, what the hell just happened?
I got many stories, but one of my biggest moments of clarity, so to speak, was I got into big wave surfing and living in Hawaii. We have this famous place called Jaws, which is on Maui, and it's a big wave surf spot that when we get the winter storms, waves can range from 25 feet to 75 feet. So you're looking at
what?
Wow.
What?
What?
Well, that's not no. How high do you get on the 75 feet? On the top of the 75 feet?
Yeah, well, you got to drop in on the 75 footer. So you're having this monster wall of water chase you, and then you basically, take off. So this is how it works. Basically,
wait, hold on. You said you'd rather do that than get hit by the guy wide receiver football. a giant wave creasing up. You're like,
I'm taking Ray Lewis every time.
This dude's at sports
Every
class
time.
all the way up.
Fuck
you're
that.
tough, man. But go on. Sorry, I'm sorry.
wild.
Go on.
Dude, I
Go
like
on.
how
I'm
you
sorry, I
guys
cut you
put
off.
that. I like how you put that because I never thought of it that way, but you're right, dude.
It was your words. It was your words.
Yeah, you're right. No, but for me, like anything, you do it long enough, you get comfortable. You put in your sweat equity, you put in the time of getting beatings, and suddenly it becomes kind of the norm, right? So for me, we were, surfing this spot every year. We basically would take a jet ski out, you put a ski rope on the back, and then another surfer, which was me, would basically hold on the ski rope, and we would go out and chase these swells once these waves were starting to stack up. And we'd turn around and we'd ride in with the wave. And as the wave started to build, once it got closer to the reef, that's when the wave would just about break. And on big swells, we're talking this particular day was around 70 feet, and it was a little bit messy. There was probably 8 to 10 teams out there with jet skis, and everybody looking out for each other. But the only way in was basically by jet ski, and then your driver would come in, and then he'd basically peel out to the right, and you peel out to the left. You'd let go of the rope, and suddenly you were going the same speed as these waves. So on this particular wave, big set came, and our adrenaline's going, and we're like, yeah, this is the one. So I'm looking at my driver, and he's driving in, and he looks back at me, and the wave is towering behind me, like a good solid 60 feet. And he starts to turn right, and he eyes me, and then I go right on it, give him a thumbs up. And so I hold onto the rope as long as I can when he peels out, just to get a little extra speed. I let go. I start dropping, and there's a couple bumps, on this wave because it's so big that are like as big as cars, so you're kind of going over and you're getting a little air and landing, and then you get going. And I start to look down the way, down a good 100 yards, like a football field basically. And I see the wave already starting to peel and have like a little white water at the top. Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make this section. And, what do? I have 3 choices. I straighten out, go as fast as I can, and have it blow up behind me and just obliterate me. Or I try to go down the line as fast as possible and see if I can make the section, which pretty much seemed impossible. Or I try to kick out and, deal with what's behind it, which is probably another set wave. So all this is happening within microseconds, and you have to make this decision. So I'm going down the line as fast as I can. I feel like I'm going backwards because the wave is going way faster than I am. And I decide last minute, I don't want to get obliterated. I don't think I'm going to make the section. So I just turn abruptly straight up into the top of the wave and try to kick out the back. Well, the wave had already broken and did this like full on, just starts to just peel over. And I punched in through the top, and I pop through the other side, and I take a big breath of air, and I go, oh, I made it. I'm good. Only to find out that as I'm swimming in the lip that is starting to throw and come over, and it basically throws me over the edge and hits the bottom, detonates, blows me to kingdom come. I end up get driven down like 30 feet underwater, like a rag doll. And there's really nothing you can do except for try to they say, try to chill out, relax, which is just doesn't make sense when you're down there. And suddenly the water subsided a little bit. I go to swim up. Suddenly another wave breaks. I can see the white water, above me. I can feel the impact. And at this time, I'm barely have enough air to get to the top. But I'm like, I got to make it. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to let this go down. I finally make it to the top. I pop up, and I see my driver on the jet ski looking for me, and I whistle, and I'm trying to get my breath, and he comes by just last minute. I grab his hand, and we have these rescue sleds that are on the back of the ski. So they're kind of like a little platform boogie board, and you basically grab the loop and you hold on to it, and then your driver keeps driving. So I got onto that, could barely breathe, holding on, finally made it to the channel where, the waves were all subsided and it was kind of a calm area. and got my breath. And that was a moment of clarity where I was at that point where I thought either I give up or I fight to make it to the top. And obviously I fought to make that, and that gave me the confidence of, dude, you got to really pick your battles, you know. And maybe I got into this you know, this wave without really thinking about all the consequences at once, and I just was in the hype. And so I learned a lesson to kind of you know, chill out a little bit, really kind of look what's going on and assess it, so my next decision, you know, is an educated, you know, decision where I'm not, you know, just going at it without, you know, with closed eyes, so to speak.
Yeah, Chuck.
Well, I'm traumatized from that, Chuck. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
was short of breath.
I don't even know if I want to get in the bath right now, Chuck. That was crazy.
I'm never going swimming again, bro.
What?
Never again. You said 30 feet under.
You said it was such a straight face. Like, that's insane.
You know, Weathers can't even swim.
I can swim. I just don't like my head underwater. It's different.
But see, I ask you this. So I believe everybody has their thing that they're super into and super passionate about. And it could be, for me, you know, dropping in on a big wave could be as traumatizing or as crazy as a young kid jumping off the curb, crossing the street, right? I think there's such a cool thing how this adrenaline or fear, or, you know, that we have inside of us, doesn't matter, you know, how old we are or whatever, we get that same feeling, but it just might be from a different, you know, situation.
Right.
And it's pretty cool that, I mean, you can get that from your first time speaking in front of a big crowd. You know, it may not be as dramatic and drastic or life-threatening like that, but you know, it's kind of cool that we can all have that feeling.
Definitely.
Chuck, I got one more question. It's a great question because, you know, kids nowadays, they're on TikTok. They're trying to show off their life. They're trying to go crazy. Chuck, they're trying to be like you. If you want me to be completely honest, live in Cali, go crazy. Chuck, what can you tell the kids that are 13, 15 when you started doing this kind of stuff? Obviously, it's a different era now with, you know, the social media presence. What can you tell these kids to get started, start getting paid, start getting the brands to recognize them, and like you, start living the life of, you know, 365, you're outside doing extreme sports and, quite frankly, doing whatever the fuck you want?
Well, you know what? We live in a different day and age now than when I started. I have to say, majority of the kids out there have got it kind of dialed. I almost feel like I'm relearning what I need to do. And a lot of the kids out there that are busting ass on TikTok and millions of followers, I'm kind of looking at them going, I want that, you know? And so the only thing I got to say to go back to the good old days was I really liked that you had to work your ass off to get what you wanted, and it wasn't easy, but it was more about your actions versus, you know, how many followers you have and this and that. It was like actions speak louder than words, and I really respect seeing people that are somewhat humble. So I guess what I'm getting to would be humble, follow your dreams, you know, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. But the biggest thing is work hard, be smart, smile, be nice to people, and don't have an ego, and things will come your way.
Yeah, leave your ego at the door. I always say that. Curb that ego. Chuck, where can we find you on social media for our viewers at home?
You can find me at Chuck Patterson on my Instagram. The TikTok thing, I haven't really dove into that thing, so to speak. I'm probably gonna have to, and it's gonna probably be some crazy video.
Sure would.
But yeah, but yeah, you can find me at Chuck Patterson Instagram, or at chuckpattersonathlete.com is my website. And I promise you that I get inspired by all you guys to keep it going. And if you guys keep doing your thing, it's going to inspire me to kind of try to live my old self youthful through you guys.
Hey, Chuck, I'm living life through your Instagram right now. So, brother, keep doing what you're doing. We're big fans of your work. and keep the vibes up because I like to see the positive shit on my feed. So keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Right on, man. Thanks so much, you guys, and hang in there. I hope we can get out of this and get some smiles and be able to get a little normalcy of just enjoying life again.
Right.
Hey,
We gotta
thank
let
you again for
go.
coming on, my man. Hey, I'm be checking you out on Instagram though. See the next 70-foot wave.
All right.
We know we gotta let you go. You have that sunset shoot coming up, right?
That's right. I'm on that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send something your way.
Please do, brother.
This has been another
man.
episode of the
Take care.
SmackTalk podcast. I'm your host, JR Sports Media, and it's just like